our communities defend their rights and get nourishing food.
In fact, I'm seeing with the collaborative supported by the Agroecology Fund is that it gives an opportunity to farmers at different levels to collaborate. So if you have a researcher, you have a farmer, you have an advocacy organization, I think that there is the whole thing that you need really to create evidence, that the evidence will feed the advocacy at the level so that policy change can happen.
This pandemic exposes so much weakness in the globalized food system. We have to invest in local bottom-up solutions. The farmers and allies we support are creatively and urgently leading the way to healthy diets and a healthy planet.
Every living being has got the right to live. We don't use pesticides or insecticides to kill them.
The industrial model of agriculture that is based on the use of synthetic fertilizers and pesticides, it has different limitations. First of all, it's damaging the environment. We have whole areas that are polluted, people that are being poisoned by pesticides.
Where we are going is very much unpredictable, you know. Resilience is based on producing for this unpredictable world. Small landholders, small farmers, subsistence agriculture feeds the majority of the world, and industrial agriculture feeds corporations.
Welcome everyone. Thank you so much for joining this session, a session on youth perspectives on agroecology, which is could lead us to just food systems. We will go more deeply into agroecology in a moment. For now, I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Shanti. I work with Project Biome alongside Kiamo and Matthew on the call here. And yeah, we just want to thank you for joining this co-design session, which wants to find and elevate the voices of youth on important topics like agroecology. We all know that the gaps in this world are big, and we have gaps in education, in opportunity, in access to resources. And one major gap that we've seen as Project Biome is the gaps within the narratives that govern this world, and are a major cause of the challenges we see today. And as youth, we are the custodians of the narratives of the future. We hold the future in our hands, and it's time for us to stand and for our voices to be heard. And so Project Biome has identified crucial topics we need to address as a generation. One of these is agroecology, and we'll go more deeply into what agroecology is and what we can say about it as a generation, in order for important stakeholders to listen and to change our food systems so that we can, number one, have access to healthy food, number two, support farmers, which are crucial pillars of society, and number three, ensure that we stop destroying this our ecosystems, our lands. Africa holds 60% of the remaining arable land in the world. We are the future, and it's important that we begin this movement so that the rest of the world can follow. And so in this webinar, in this design session, we'll be speaking about a webinar that will be in April on the topics of agroecology. And we want to get your perspectives on what you see are the challenges and the solutions relating to agroecology. Matthew will go more deeply into what agroecology is and its principles. But just know your voices are really important in this, because we're building the momentum that would support potentially a major shift to just food systems in this continent. And so just a little bit on how this session will work. We will be using breakout rooms and Mentimeter. Chiamo will be guiding you through it. And if at any point you have an issue, you're welcome to send a message on the chat. And also you're welcome to introduce yourselves on the chat right now, where you come from, your name. And you'll see there will be a poll asking you for 2 questions. You're welcome to just fill it out and it will disappear. And we will go into a short activity that Chiamo will lead us through now, and then we'll jump into the session. If you have any questions at any moment, please do message us on the chat. We're here to support, and we really look forward to hearing what you have to say about this really important topic that is relevant to every single human. We all require the services of farmers 3 times a day, and this in agroecology is an important tool for a just future. Thank you so much, Chiamo. Do you want to go ahead?
Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining us and welcome. Welcome to the conversation. I'm really excited for what we put together today. So before we get into it, I wanted to do a little exercise to ask everybody that is participating in this co-design workshop that we have today to find something in your current space that is of significance to you, something that you are happy to share with the group. Just a little icebreaker so we can get to know each other. And while you're looking for that, I just also wanted to note that we have a poll up as well, where you can just let us know what country you're from and how old you are, as we are representatives of the youth. So yes, I encourage you all, please find something in your space. It could be something that you can't go without. It can be something that you hold very dearly to you, and yeah, if you're open to sharing it with the group, please do so. All right, I'll go first, actually. I'll go first. So for me, it is this book called Ancestry by Nokulinda Mkizwe. It's an amazing offering that really helps us connect with, Indigenous knowledge, especially in the spiritual sense, but also how we can place ourselves as Africans. It's a book that I have not been able to put down, and I keep going back to it. And yeah, I can't live without it. I didn't realize that when I started reading it, but yeah, it's been great. So yeah, I encourage anybody else. Would anybody else like to share something of significance to you? Please introduce yourselves. Welcome to the space.
Hi, you might want to repeat what you asked for, Chiamo, but I'm going to show, I'm not a youth, sorry, but I'm going to show anyway. So I bought something in the Seychelles, and it's a coca de mer seed that's been put into plastic, and I keep it on my desk because it always reminds me of being out in nature in such a beautiful place. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing. Would anybody else like to share?
Yeah, I'll share, Chiamo. So I was in Zambia last week attending a restoration conference, and picked up this beautiful little hippopotamus, which is made out of ironwood. And at the conference, when going onto the Zambezi River, it was just a reminder of how important our ecosystems are. And then to see the hippos in the water really just, brought that home to me. And it just reminded me how important it is to remain connected to where we come from. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing. Anybody else?
I could go next. Hi, my name's Enya Munting. I'm in South Africa, Cape Town at the moment, and I'm actually a master's student in ecology doing my project on marine protected areas. But my family has a farm and we are trying to run it organically, so I'm quite interested in the topic. And this item that I have over here is an ashtray that my brother made. He is in Germany becoming a blacksmith, and or he's actually already a blacksmith. But yeah, he just makes cool things, and I find everything that he makes really dear to me. And I guess to continue on the narrative, it's a reminder of how important our communities are to us as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for sharing that. If there's anybody else who'd like to share anything, otherwise we can kind of get into the next point of this session. Any takers? Yeah? All right, cool. So next we are going to go into breakaway rooms. So essentially the breakaway room will be a space where we can essentially discuss the ideas around agroecology that we will be discussing today. So you'll be given a prompt, a question to deliberate as a group, and then you'll be given 10 minutes in the breakaway session to chat with everybody, formulate your ideas, and once the breakaway session is done, we'll bring you back into the main space, and I will share a Mentimeter link where we can put in what you've come up with. So yeah, we are going to just want to allow for a few more people to enter. We've just got a few more people joining. If you can bear with us. Okay. And great, cool. So yeah, we are going to go into the breakaway rooms now, and the question will be posted in each breakaway room that we can discuss for the next 10 minutes, and then we can come back as a group and work it out all out, right? To use Mentimeter now. So I've posted the link in the chat for us to access the Mentimeter. So either one person from the group or anybody really can just click on the link, and we can just put back, share your feedback with the rest of the group. All right. So using the link should direct you to Mentimeter, and you'll be prompted with this question, which is, what are the current major issues with the food and farming systems? So as you put in your responses, it will generate on the screen in front of us, and yeah, then we can get into it.
It's amazing. I've never seen this little program before.
Yeah, I missed it. Sorry, I went out for a few seconds.
The link is in the chat now. Stephanie just posted. If you click on there, it will take you to a page where you will be able to write your responses to that question, which will show up live on the Zoom screen. So you can go ahead and go write your responses to the current major issues with food and farming systems. And we can see a few. Kiamo, go ahead.
Thank you, Shanti. And if anyone has any issues with the link, please let me know, especially if you're using your mobile. I can give you the code, which is also visible on the screen here at the top. And then, yeah, that should also be able to give you access to Mentimeter to generate the feedback. Climate change makes farmers poor. Capitalism, yeah. Profit, funding, finance, poverty, land degradation, extraction from nature, creates hunger, loss of biodiversity. This is amazing. Segregation, yes. Just to right. This is amazing feedback. Thank you, everybody.
may I just ask, how do we get out of Mentimeter? So do we just close the voting tab?
Yes, you can just close the voting tab, and then we will use Mentimeter again for the second breakaway room. So after we've had this discussion, we will have Matt speak on the 10 elements of agroecology, given a nice broad explanation on on agroecology. And after that, we'll go into another breakaway room where we'll basically be discussing the four main topics that we take out of this, out of these responses specifically. So you will need to use the same Mentimeter link again for that. But we'll put this in the chat as well, just so that there's no confusion. Cool. So once you click submit, close the tab or leave it open for the next session. But we will be using the same link again a bit later in the session.
Thank you so much for all your responses. I'm really impressed by the amount of by these responses, and I think Matt's presentation now will really inform even further. And I'll hand over to Matt now, who is in charge of the Biome Solutions Center, part of Project Biome, and so has extensive knowledge on all things agroecology and beyond, most systems to create just systems across the board. And he'll give us a little taste of this this passion and expertise, especially around this important topic. Matt, over to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Shanti. Yeah, guys, so why is agroecology so important, you know? And the main thing, before I get into the definition, is just to frame the why. And conventional agriculture has been with us for about 100 years. And in that time frame, we've seen a significant loss of biodiversity. We see soils being absolutely pillaged from, extracted. We see a loss of seed diversity, and overall, we see humans and ecosystems going into collapse. Our ecosystems are crashing. So what is the global response? And the global response is really agroecology. And what agroecology is a bottom-up approach to transforming food and farming systems, focusing on contextual solutions for local problems based on co-creation of indigenous, local, and scientific knowledge, a science and a practice. So agroecology is really about mobilizing a grassroots movement to take back our food systems. Gone are the days where we can just accept these Western countries coming in to tell us as Africans how to farm. We've been farming for centuries. We've been practicing livestock management in the ways part of our traditional knowledge systems. And ultimately, agroecology is a response to this. And the beauty about it is that it's on every single continent in most countries. So it really is a tangible global movement, taking back our power, our sovereignty as Africans, and this is our response to it. I'm just going to touch a little bit, I don't have too much time, but when we talk of the levels of food system transformation, you see right at the bottom there, which is no agroecological practice. And this is unfortunately the case in a lot of countries where the Green Revolution has taken hold. We see genetic modification pushed down farmers' throats. And ultimately, we don't really have an option. But there are people really taking it back. Permaculture is also one of those global movements which has caught on. And ultimately, it's really becoming about self-reliant as farmers. And then as we move further up, you'll see the green is incremental and the purple is transformational. And in South Africa, we are probably between level 1 and level 2. We see that there are numbers of NGOs. I think in South Africa, Agroecology South Africa has got about a loose collective of 192 organizations which are promoting agroecology. So there is a movement in South Africa, which we can be very grateful for. And as we look to other African countries, we're seeing that they are starting to, really embody agroecology. African Union has adopted it. The United Nations is really promoting it. And the more that we become aware of it and the why as to why agroecology is so important, the more that we will see ourselves move up layers of food system transformation. And it's not going to take South Africa to leapfrog from level 1, level 2 to level 4 and level 5 and really be one of the global leaders in agroecology, because we've got about 800,000 smallholder farmers active in this country, and we've got about 20,000 commercial farmers, which are currently producing 70% of the traded food. So we can flip that on its head very quickly through agroecology. So I'm just going to run through some of the main principles here around agroecology, and this is quite important to digest because these principles are applied on every layer of agroecology. So the first one I'm going to touch on is participation. Through really engaging with your farmers, your consumers, your market, your extension service, NGOs, and you start to really develop a community, a family, if you like, that can work with one another to overcome some of the challenges that we face on the ground. And as many of the youth in the previous session highlighted, we've got many challenges that we faced with. One of them is land and resource governance. We know in South Africa that we've got quite a difficult history, and land tenure is one of the aftermaths of that difficult history. So making sure that through participation, through having your family with you, you can advocate and lobby for secure land tenure, and making sure that that is one of the first things that we really push for as a movement. The other one, which is a really interesting space to explore, especially as youth, is the connectivity and the use of mobile technologies, apps, platforms that can really bring people together to participate in a digital way. And often the most effective value chains or supply chains that we develop are digital. And it allows us to be able to aggregate from multiple producers and take them through to market and ultimately increasing the sales of the farmers. So that connectivity space is really an interesting one to explore, especially for youth. Recycling, as we know, reusing, reducing, and recycling is one of the more important ways that we can mitigate our impact on the planet. And, it even goes on to how you recycle your organic waste out of your kitchen. I mean, are we putting it into compost? Are we using worms to create worm castings for our wonderful seedlings that we plant? And that recycling element is part of the circular economy that we need to start envisioning, a new economic system which is circular, which is grassroots driven. Reduction of inputs. I think of recent, synthetic inputs have gone up 300% on the global market. So if you're a synthetic or a conventional farmer, your bottom line is looking less and less profitable. And that's really because the agribusiness cartels around the world are profiting from our hard work in the fields as farmers. So the more that we reduce our reliance on these inputs, the more sovereign we are, the more profitable we are, and the more ecological friendly. Soil health. We've got about 60 years of topsoil left if we continue on this track of conventional farming. And growing soil is probably one of the most important skills that we can teach ourselves and our fellow youth, and even the younger generations beneath us, working how to alchemize soil, change it, make sure that your organic matter is looking rich. The humification of organic matter in your soil is really how you build it up. Animal health. How to integrate animals into your agricultural system is crucial. The functions of chickens and cattle to build soil quality is immense, and they do a lot of the work for you when you're integrating these animals into your farming systems. Chickens are incredible, the way that they can work the soil for you, prepare your planting beds. And ultimately, one of the biggest things that we're seeing is a pushback against large-scale industrial farmed meat. I don't know if any of you guys have ever been to a feedlot or an industrial chicken production, but wow, it really does make an impact when you see how these animals are just mistreated. and your heart really does feel the empathy for these sentient, conscious creatures. So really looking after your animal health. Biodiversity is a massive one. The more that we see farmlands expand, the loss of biodiversity is palpable. We've seen over the last 100 years, 70% plus minus of our biodiversity being lost. And it's up to us to really take this indigenous knowledge that our elders have, about the medicinal plants, the fynbos, how we preserve the flowers and all of these productive plants that service our farms, and really honoring the biodiversity on this planet is one of the biggest things that we can be doing when we engage with agroecology. Economic diversification is one of the most important ones. We have to be sustainable. We have to be able to develop a livelihood. And I think this is one of the things that is really making youth less inclined to explore agriculture as a career, because it's thought that it's not a very profitable venture. It's not one of those livelihoods that you're going to be able to create generational wealth. Well, through a diversified business model, it is actually a really profitable business, and your hard work in the field pays off. And ultimately, through this economic diversification and your diversification on your farm, you are also in tune with the social values and the diets. So one of the things that we're witnessing on a global level at the moment is this ultra-processed foods. When you walk into a retail store and you just walk down the aisle and you look to the left and the right and you see canned everything and preserved this, and we have gone so far away from our natural diet as a human species. This is where these chronic diseases are really shaping up: hypertension, blood pressure, heart attacks, diabetes. And I'm sure we know someone in our family that has one of those, including cancer. The chronic rise of cancer around the world is directly associated to the lack of diversity in one's diet, as well as the microbiome in your gut. So when you start to look at the microbiome in the soil, it's very similar to how your stomach works. And if you don't have that biodiversity in the soil or your stomach, you're going to be becoming ill. The other really big piece around agroecology is fairness. Fairness of pricing, how you behave with your fellow colleagues, how you build community, how you engage as a business. Fairness is triple bottom line. It's people, planet, profit. And that's what we mention when we speak about fairness in agroecology. Ultimately, what agroecology is, it's a beautiful, holistic system to look at how we are in harmony with nature, how we are aware of what we're eating, putting inside of our bodies, and most importantly, how we are building a movement to look after our ecosystems, our watersheds, and most importantly, the people and our family and our loved ones that are at risk at the moment due to this outdated, crazy form of agriculture, which is conventional. So I'm going to probably stop it there. We don't have enough to get into the elements, but I think that was a high-level take at agroecology. And yeah, thank you for listening. Back to you, Kiamo.
Thank you, Matt. And yeah, that was amazing. Really shed a lot of perspective, and just, making us realize that nature has all the answers that we're looking for, honestly. And, it's not impossible to achieve being healthy, as well as looking after our environment and caring for the biodiversity as well. So yeah, thank you. Thank you very much, Matt. So now we are going to go into our breakaway rooms, where we will be discussing what we've talked about already, as far as the issues that exist within the food and farming systems that we've all identified. And basically, we're aiming to narrow it down to 4 major issues. So Shanti, maybe you can give me some input here on how you'd like to, what you would consider are the main points that we can focus on, and then we'll use the breakaway rooms to formulate solutions and ways in which we can possibly create, improved systems, food systems.
I definitely think that the main one is climate change, or adapting to this climate change, and then relating to that, the ecosystem destruction that's preventing proper farming. The third one I would say is lack of access. So our farmers don't have access to the training, the resources. What are the solutions there? And then there's the toxic chemicals currently being used in the conventional industrial agriculture. So we could use these four topics. However, in the breakaway room, if you find yourself speaking of a solution that will, that where we can support agroecology, and where agroecology can solve a particular challenge, please do share. This is fully up to you. Where we're listening to you, and so allow the conversation to unfold, and please then share back when we come back as a group. You'll have 5 minutes to discuss, and you'll be put in breakaway rooms now. And yeah, if you need anything, again, we're always in the chat. Kiamo, do you wanna create a breakaway rooms?
Cool. So just before we create the breakaway rooms, so with the 4 points that Shanti's just mentioned, the question is essentially, how can agroecology address these topics? So how can agroecology provide solutions, or even just address them? So that to have in mind as we go further into discussion. So I'm going to send everybody into breakaway rooms, and yeah, chat away. We'll share it in the chat as well. All right, over to you, Shanti.
Great. Thank you so much for this session. This was really insightful, and we're really grateful for your contributions. We're going to be now going through all the data you shared, and the important opinions that are going to build the foundation for the webinar that we'll be actually creating with another group of youth. Or if you want to get in touch and you're interested in contributing and further along in the process, we're going to be doing that in the next week, and then launching the actual webinar in April with specific speakers that we'll start getting in touch with. However, you have provided the foundations for for what we'll be presenting in the webinar. And the webinar, we're hoping to be able to share it with important stakeholders. We have a few conversations with influencers like government, farmers, investors, that need to hear that the youth is looking at them. We are, not going to be standing and complacent to this. We're going to be speaking on these issues, and Project Biome wants to support us in doing this. I want to just emphasize that we are looking for youth who want to get involved in these conversations, who want to put their voices out there. I'm going to share Project Biome's newsletter link. If you want to subscribe to this, you're welcome to, just to stay updated on what we're doing. We hold events and gatherings and conversations, and then we have projects on the ground as well to get involved in. And we will be sharing our email addresses in the chat as well. Please get in touch. And we'll be finalizing the creation of the webinar next week and launching in April. And you will all, get in, receive information around this process. And finally, I just want to say that I know these challenges seem huge, and everything seems so fragmented, and it's hard to see each other in this time and to see the hope sometimes. I just want you to know that there is so much work being done in this sphere. There are so many people really trying to support the new era, a just era where we are living in harmony with each other, with nature, where we're eating healthy food and people have access as their right as humans. It is possible to have a unified world. I'm currently at a conference where we have indigenous wisdom holders from across the globe. Every single continent is represented. Indigenous wisdom keepers who have kept their traditions of the past thousands of years have gathered here in South Africa to pray for this continent, for this world, for the earth, have decided to unify each other, even though they have different traditions. They see past their differences and see their common ancestors from this land, and are praying together, are co-creating together. And so there is hope out there, and there's a huge momentum happening. And I want to thank you all for adding to this momentum. And we hope to make you proud with what we're going to come up with after we look back at our Mentimeter and all the answers you gave. And we'll be in touch, or you can be in touch with us. We'll all put our email addresses. Matt put his email address there. I'll put mine now. Kiamo will put hers. And so, yeah, if you have any questions, get in touch. Thank you so much, everyone. Wishing you a beautiful evening.
Bye, everyone.
Yeah,
Thank you for taking some time out.
Thank you.
Thank you for
Yes,
hosting. Thank you.
thank you so much. It was very informative.
Thank you, Chongo. It was such a pleasure to
Thank you. Thank you. Bye.
It's
Bye.
a pleasure to meet you. Bye-bye.
What deep?